What's going on, guys? Repairs and reviews here. Finally going to be officially reviewing my Husqvarna RZ5424. I wanted to make sure that I got to use it plenty, and I've been using it the past couple months, so I got a good idea of the things that I really like, the things that I kind of dislike. It's nothing horrible. This is an excellent machine. But let's jump right into it. Try not to make this too long. The first con, and this isn't really something that came from the factory. This is something I added. The mulching system. This plate here, the discharge chute block off plate. I bought this and it came with 3 mulching blades, and it was to replace the discharge chute. We've had a lot of rain here, and mulching systems, mulching kits on decks do not do well at all with any type of wet or slightly damp grass. So it came at a really bad time. All the rain we've been having came right after I installed this, and that's Daisy. I'm sure she's going to be sticking her nose in a lot of things around here, so just don't mind her. Anyway, I noticed a stripe in my yard after using this a couple times. It was only on this side, and come to find out, when I took this off, there was so much grass built up. I mean, there was chunks as big as my fist up in here, just of wet grass that had clumped together, and it was just filled this side of the deck, and it left a stripe where it wasn't really cutting the grass all that well. So first con was not factory. It's something I added, but you got to make sure that your grass is completely dry for this to work properly. I had to take it off just to finish my yard because everything's been so wet and damp recently. It hasn't really dried out. So second con while we're here, the original discharge chute. Look at that honking thing. I mean, this thing sticks off probably a foot. It is ginormous, and it hits everything. I mean, this deck, it's a 54-inch deck, and it's huge to begin with, and then you stick that thing a foot off the side of it. It wants to hit everything unless you have a really wide open area, and for the most part I do, but in between my deck and fire pit and a couple places around my shed, I can no longer fit through the gate. I have to go through the cattle gate that I have into my backyard because it's enclosed. But yeah, that thing doesn't help. They could have made that a little smaller, a little less bulky. Like, I mean, this is just god-awful big. So when I use it, I actually hold it up with a bungee cord just to get it off the ground and stop hitting things. So let's do a walk around. Guess I should have done that. Like I said, it's the RZ5424, and this has the Kohler Courage 24 horsepower engine. And I hope to, I got everything to service that. I just need to make a video of it, so I'm going to service that. It's got about 85 hours on it now. I got it right at 80. So this review is about 5 hours of use. Alright. Let's go to something positive. The pro. This mower is fast. It does not seem very fast on pavement, but when you're maneuvering around a yard, this thing is fast. As are most zero turns, but that's just a pro I'm going to throw out there. Also a pro is it's very maneuverable. It will squeeze places within reason, you know, assuming the deck fits. It's very responsive, and it will get the deck pretty much anywhere you want to put it that it will physically fit. So that's a pro. We're going to go a pro and a con here, and this kind of goes with what I just said. The 54-inch deck. It's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing when you're wide open. It knocks out a field quickly. But like I said, it is very big, and maneuvering it between certain objects, especially with the discharge chute that it came with, you'll find that difficult at times. So let's see. Con, the arms on this thing, they're very responsive. They almost feel too responsive. I mean, everything's smooth, but you have to be careful. You can't be jerking the arm back because you're gonna tear up your yard. And I've heard a lot of complaints about this in the reviews that I've read about this mower before I bought it. They said that it's tearing up their yard. Well, this could be a couple things. You're not operating it smoothly enough, and you're just jerking the arms around, which I found, yes, could be a problem. And two, the majority of the time, the tire pressure is set too high. If that tire is really hard and firm, you know, got 20 pounds or more in it, it's going to spin in your yard, especially if it's wet, damp. Lowering the tire pressure to about 10 to 12, 10 is about the sweet spot. That works the best, even on damp areas of your yard where the grass is wet, like if you're cutting in the morning or something. Lowering the tire pressure helps with the ride, and it helps to prevent tearing up your yard for the most part. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. A pro. I really like the engine. I've always been a Kohler fan. I would have preferred to have a Kohler Command. Working on small engines professionally and on the side here for past 7-8 years, maybe more total. The Kohler Command is a indestructible, bulletproof engine from what I can see. This does not have the Kohler Command. I'm just saying I am a fan of Kohler. The Kohler Courage, they've had their problems with the single cylinder. The twin cylinder seems to be tough. I've serviced many of them for customers. I've seen with many hours on them. They seem to be holding up well. The single cylinders, maybe not so much, but the twin cylinder Kohler Courage, don't have any complaints. When this thing gets in tall grass, especially when it's wet, and especially when you have the discharge blocked like I had, the engine does not skip a beat. It just keeps on going. It doesn't bog down. It's plenty strong to run this deck, and it is a hefty deck. It's a 54-inch deck. It's got 3 blades under there, so you know, it's plenty strong to run everything on this mower. I like the design. I like the way everything's laid out, with kind of a couple exceptions. I don't know how they could have done it better, but if you look over here, there's Daisy just hanging out up there. Look over there. That's your parking brake. It's kind of it's in a decent location. I just don't like how it feels, how it operates. And if you plan to get off of that seat, you have to put the parking brake up. It will not stay running with the deck on, so you have to disengage the deck. That's a safety feature. You can't get off the seat with the deck still engaged, but you can get off the seat as long as the deck is disengaged and the parking brake is applied. And I can't tell you how many times I forget to apply the parking brake. Even when I park it for the week. I come out the next time and the key won't turn, and I forget I didn't set the parking brake, and it will not start without the parking brake set. That's pretty much how every mower is. On riding mowers, you can press the clutch, so you don't have to really set the parking brake every single time, but this does. It's kind of got on my nerves, but oh well, you know, for safety features. And right there to the right of it, right there, there's a little slot. There's a little cutout right there, and the same on the other side. Those are for lights, and it is wired for lights. Right under the seat, there is a wiring harness plug that you can actually buy a set of lights for and install yourself. That's a pro. That'd be nice to have, but a con because it didn't come with it factory. I was kind of disappointed in that. I haven't needed to use lights since I've had it, but you know, when the days get shorter and you don't have as much time in the evening, that would be nice to have. That would have, you know, I think you can buy them for like 80 bucks on eBay or Amazon, the whole set, and the wiring harness and everything to plug right in. I'm pretty sure people would have gladly paid that up front from the factory just to have that option. They should have offered that. So that's kind of a con. Another con, this thing's a gas hog. I was cutting my grass. The last time I was cutting my grass, I was going around everything. It didn't spit, it didn't sputter, it just completely shut off like I turned the key off. And I was like, oh great, what happened? I was completely out of gas. Just like that. I don't think I've ever filled the tank up, and I want to say it's got a 5-gallon tank. So it's a pretty big tank. But it was about half full, and I was only able to cut my yard maybe 1.5 times, 2 times, and I'm cutting maybe close to an acre, if that. Some spots I have to go over twice, depending on how the cut is, especially with the discharge blocked off. That was leaving a stripe I had to go back over, but it seems to consume gas. That engine running wide open, turning 3 blades, 54-inch deck, it's got a hefty load on it, so it consumes a lot of gas, but you know, I guess that comes with the territory of having a twin-cylinder zero turn with a 54-inch deck. So let's go to a couple pros. The design. I like everything's laid out. I think I might have said that already. I like the color. Husqvarna is that's their color. Bright orange. Really like it. Greasable spindles. It's a pro and a con, and the only reason I say it's a con is because when I bought this, that spindle right there, the grease fitting, was missing. So I had to take one out of the other 2 blades, take it up to a hardware store and match it up, and it was tricky matching it up. Home Depot doesn't even carry grease fittings. Don't know why. But it's great to service it, it's great to grease it, but I'm not the only person that's had this problem where the grease fittings fall out. So kind of quality control there. Grease fittings falling out for whoever's assembling this thing. Another con, and this goes with whoever is assembling this thing. This engine was knocking, and I found out the problem before I purchased it because I was real concerned with it. You turn the key and it would knock, 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 and then it would start and it would run. Turns out, after some investigating, the engine bolts that mount this engine to the frame had loosened, and it was the engine was shifting ever so slightly just to knock as it was turning over when it was initially starting. So I tightened all that stuff up, got it back in positions and secured, and I haven't had a problem since. But that's another kind of quality control deal. Whoever assembled this, whether it's, you know, the manufacturer before it's shipped to the distributor, or whether it's Home Depot, Lowe's, whoever's assembling these things should take a little more pride and make sure everything's tight. Same thing with the muffler. I actually had one of those missing and had to replace it, and I had to tighten all the rest of them. So luckily I know what to look for, and I have the capability of doing that. So your average person won't know what that knock is, and they'll end up having to spend money to take it to a shop just for them to tighten some bolts up and charge you an arm and a leg. So quality control might just be me. It could have been, you know, multiple people. I don't know. While I'm back here, another con, something I wish that I had, is most higher end zero turns have an engine cover, like a guard back here, to keep you from hitting stuff. And this thing kind of sticks out. You know, the rear tires are up here, so when you're backing up, and I did this a couple times to my fence, I smacked my fence with that little hitch receiver right there, and if something was sticking out, it could have went through this plastic cover. It could have dented my valve cover. It could have done some damage. So if you're not careful, without a guard, you run the risk of damaging and messing up a lot of important stuff. Your linkages are down here, they're wide open. I know this is a lower end model, but like I said, would have been nice to have a little bit more protection on the rear of this engine. Let's see what else we've got here. I made me a list so I can try and go through this as quickly as possible. So, Pro, it is easy to service. Everything's pretty wide open. The drain plug for the oil, the engine's wide open. You can come right over here. You can open this up and get to all your spindles, decks, pulleys, everything important. You can grease it, you can check it, you can replace your belt. It's laid out very nicely. It's user friendly. It seems to be mechanic friendly. The anti-scalping wheels on the deck, that's a nice option. The 4 wheels that you see on the deck help prevent the deck from digging into the ground on inclines, hills, stuff like that, so that's nice. Let's see. I think I've pretty much gone through all the cons that I can think of. I've pretty much marked them all off, so that's good. I got a couple more pros. This thing has a big gas cap. It's the stupid simple things in life. That big gas cap will prevent you from making a mess. And you know, gas caps typically half that size, so you typically make a mess filling this thing with fuel. And like I said, you're gonna be filling this thing with fuel because it likes it. It drinks it pretty good. So a big gas cap. This thing has a really nice cut as long as you don't have the discharge blocked. That could have just been me, but the discharge being blocked was you know, clumping grass under the deck, and that was not having such a good cut on my yard. But then again, it was wet, so you know, that could have been the deal. I'm gonna give it one more shot eventually when I can guarantee everything's dried out. But parts, the last pro that I can think of, parts are available. You can easily find parts for this engine. You can easily find parts for the mower itself. You can find blades all day long. You can find spindles. You can find any engine parts from any local distributor, Amazon, eBay, wherever you want to go online. If you don't know where you can get something and you need to know a part number, you can go on partstree.com and plug in your model and your serial number, which is under the seat for Husqvarna, and it will give you a breakdown, a parts list for every part on this mower. And it is available, at least at my local distributor, and they have all kinds of stuff. So getting parts for this, if something was to go bad, is very easy. It's not like a Toro. The Toro, I think it's called a time cutter. That's their version of a zero turn. That's the time cutter is their homeowner's version, and Toro is like Mercedes. You have to go to a Toro dealer. They don't support aftermarket parts. They don't have a lot of support for that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm sure you can match up oil filters, fuel filters, spark plugs, but as far as blades and pulleys and deck components and belts, it's difficult to match stuff up to a Toro. They're kind of like a dealer-only kind of deal. That's why I kind of dislike Toro. They make decent stuff, but it's difficult to find parts. With a Husqvarna, I do not have that issue. I work on stuff. I know where to get parts. I like when I have to deal with Husqvarna. They're easy to find parts. Don't really have an issue there. So to sum it up, I would recommend this mower to anyone with a good sized yard that needs a zero turn, something with a big deck. And I think they make them with smaller decks if you don't really need a 54-inch deck. But I really don't have a whole lot of major complaints. I think the biggest things for me that I complained about was mainly quality control, with like the engine loosening up, the muffler bolts loosening up, and the grease fitting. That's my main concern, because that's important stuff. And I don't know if that's really Husqvarna's problem, or if that's the distributor that they ship it to, if they assemble it. You know, I don't know who to blame for that, but it's a good mower. I would recommend it. I can cut my yard in no time, probably about half of what I used to do with my old 48 John Deere, and that was a rider, so it was big, bulky, slow, and hard to maneuver. I don't think you'd be disappointed if you were to go with the Husqvarna with this size, and I really like the Kohler engine. So leave me a comment, anything, any questions you might have. I would be happy to answer them for you. And this is Repairs and Reviews. Thanks for watching.